Getting into sim racing from the outside always looks to be a really expensive endeavour, and that's not always the case. And while I'm sure at some point here on Traxion we'll do a video all about getting into sim racing on a budget, most people think of that expense going towards the wheel and pedals, or most importantly, the cockpit. This has led members of the community to build their own rigs out of anything they can find: wood, PVC pipes, bits of old car, you name it. While I'm not the best at building things completely from scratch, we teamed up with the folks at SimPlexity to meet us halfway. This is the SimPlexity V12 Cockpit, and they sent it over in Traxion Pink, which is really cool. So how does the V12 meet us halfway in terms of DIY? Well, the vast majority of this rig has been built using 80/20 aluminium extrusion, an incredibly versatile system that can pretty much be likened to heavier, more robust Meccano. It's all pretty straightforward. This is 80/20 aluminium extrusion, and it all goes together using little sliding threads that go in. I've got props, look, I'm a pro at this now. Some brackets, these aren't the ones we got with it, these are some spare ones we have, these are red. Our ones are pink. And it all goes together using basically the same screws. It's all very simple and very straightforward. So yeah, technically, you could do this entire thing yourself. Go and get the right lengths cut, go and buy all the extrusion, buy all the brackets, buy everything, and just do it entirely yourself. Just cut SimPlexity out entirely. But you could get SimPlexity to cut everything for you, send you all the right parts, and you get it all in one go, and no hassle for you. Think of it like this. Imagine you need to build a wardrobe for your bedroom for the house you've just moved into. You could go to Wix and get all the bits of wood and cut it all yourself, get all the parts, and then build it entirely yourself. Or you could go to IKEA, get all of those same bits of wood, fully pre-cut with all the tools and instructions, and cut out that entire having to measure and work it all out yourself. Which one would you rather choose? As said, it was completely universal, so everything went together pretty easily. While there were more specific things we had to get to a bit later on in the build, the grand scheme of it was all exactly the same. However, because that is all so simple, the instructions took that a little bit too literally. Here are the pre-cut lengths we've supplied you, and here is the finished thing. We've color-coded some of the bits and given you a few points as to what order to do stuff in, but that's about it. While it did all go together eventually, I would have liked a bit more direction on the instructions, please, SimPlexity. Maybe not just for me, but for somebody else. Maybe you've never built anything of this kind of thing before, so you don't even know where to start. Those instructions will leave you basically up that creek without a paddle. Compared to the GT track rig I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, you can check that out up here, I couldn't build the vast majority of this completely by myself. Aluminium extrusion is pretty heavy, and while that does mean this thing is absolutely rock solid when it is built, it did mean that mounting the chair, mounting the wheel especially, I mean a Podium DD1 we'll get to isn't exactly light in itself, it took 2 or 3 of us to do. But there is something else about this rig, a blessing and a curse, and that is its customizability. While the pedals have specific fittings to make it easy to adjust, easy being a push with how heavy this thing is, and the chair is on rails as you'd expect, if you wanted to adjust the height of the wheelbase mount or shifter bar, you've got to pretty much take it entirely off and then put it on again. There's really not any loosen and shift here if you wanted to change things around a little bit. If you're building this entirely for yourself, you can get everything mounted how you like it, and you're good to go. If you've got loads of people using this rig, you're gonna have to find some kind of middle ground for the people who are tall, people who are short, people who like their wheel up here, whatever. It's not as easy with this thing. But once you do have everything put together and mounted, as said, this thing is rock solid. It is not going anywhere. Plus, as said as well, you have that customizability. Aluminium extrusion is really, really universal. You can do anything with it. If you want to add a monitor stand directly to it, we'll get to the one we've got behind us in a second, you can do that. If you want to mount a second rig directly next to it to make it 2-player like it's an arcade, you can totally do that too. Or you can mount a cup holder on it. Another thing that might switch you off from it is the fact that it's very clear it's not a bespoke rig. It's all made from parts you can go and buy individually, and therefore it kind of looks as such. If you're wanting a gorgeously sleek racing rig, this isn't going to be it. But if you're wanting something that has astonishing flexibility and functionality, you are well away here. Now, don't get me wrong, it is not by any means a bad looking rig, but its brutalist nature isn't gonna tick everyone's boxes. But if you wanted to jazz it up a bit with stickers or changing the colored brackets like we've got on this one, or adding, I don't know, RGB underglow, then you can, but that's on you. Speaking of your own little twist on things, we have mounted a Fanatec Podium DD1 to this rig, but we've used a very bespoke looking means of mounting. Now this thing does come with a normal base plate. Look at these really nice little S's that have been cut out into it. It's very cool, and you can mount basically anything to this, including the Podium DD1. You just mount it from the bottom, but instead we've mounted ours on the sides. And this whole thing is definitely a 2, or in our case, 3-man job. As if you've ever lifted a Podium wheelbase just by itself, it's not exactly light, and along with these mounting parts, it's really not light. Though once it is mounted, much like the rest of the rig, it's not going anywhere, but the way that ours is mounted specifically with this bespoke mounting system, you can't exactly change it in a hurry, so keep that in mind. Not like we're going to, or at least I hope not. But speaking of changing peripherals again, you can't really do that in a hurry either. Mounting these Fanatec pedals was just a little bit difficult. That's not on SimPlexity, of course, but please just keep that in mind. So it was okay to build, it's built like a tank, it looks better than something made out of PVC pipes or wood, and it costs... that we'll get to. But what is it like to race in? We got the Sabelt GT-090 with our rig, and just as an FYI, that doesn't come with the SimPlexity V12, something to keep in mind as well. Nothing moves around in this cockpit. No flex, no wobble, no nothing. At first I thought the mounting for the wheelbase was going to be a bit flimsy and concerning, but it is rock solid. Kick your brake pedal down like you're hitting the final chicane at Spa, and you're not moving backwards, nor is the pedal mount moving forwards. So this rig feels really good to race in, though the chair itself is very narrow, narrower than the one in the GT track rig, but that's not on SimPlexity. Like I said, you can mount any chair you like to that thing. Also, you might have noticed that very dashing triple monitor mount behind me, and that was supplied by SimPlexity too. And yes, you are absolutely right in thinking that this goes together in pretty much exactly the same way as the rig itself. Aluminium extrusion with the same fittings, with just a couple of bespoke parts for the adjustable arms and Vaser mounts, and this is the whole package in action. It was as easy to put together as you'd expect, the monitor mounting was easy, and the whole thing straddles the rig perfectly. However, if you're planning to put 3 curved 32-inch 1440p 144Hz displays on it like we did, it's relatively stable, but it could be better. We were admittedly pushing this triple monitor mount to its limits here, but if you're attaching smaller displays to it, you should be absolutely fine. If you're really worried you could weigh down the base with sandbags or whatever crap you've got lying around, you could indeed just extend the feet to make it a little bit more stable. That's the beauty of aluminium extrusion. You can do anything you want to it to make it work for you. So that brings us round to that part of the review. How much does the SimPlexity V12 set you back? Once again, this doesn't include the seat, this mounting for the podium wheelbase, nor does it include the triple monitor stand. The base V12 cockpit will set you back £645. The triple monitor stand will set you back £217. And to put this rig overall into a little bit more perspective, the chair will set you back £225, and that Fanatec podium mounting stuff will set you back just over £200. This setup overall will cost you just shy of £1,300, and that's without your choice of wheel, pedals, display, and platform to run your games on. If we totaled up our rig right here with our triple displays and Fanatec podium and pedals and the very, very overkill PC we've got running with this thing, you're looking at another maybe 3 or 4 grand on top of the base rig price. But you don't have to add super fancy stuff to it. You can get sub $100 1080p 60 displays. You can run this thing off a laptop and just stick a G923 on it, which is a great wheel. But we went for the Fanatec Podium DD1 because, I mean, look how cool it looks. If that overall price tag made your wallet fall out of your jeans and cry, then this whole setup probably isn't for you. This is the top tier stuff. This kind of rig will be but a fraction of the entire budget for whoever is building an absolutely insane racing battle station. It's almost not worth comparing this thing to the GT track rig I reviewed a couple of weeks ago, because the GT track rig, while the base of it seems to be roughly the same price, that's a more complete thing, and it is a very pro rig, but this thing, this is the king. The sheer amount of customizability this thing offers means that if you're wanting to do X, Y, or Z to it, you can more than likely find the parts to do it. The GT Track doesn't offer those opportunities beyond whatever proprietary accessories Next Level Racing have available. Whether you're buying a new wheel and want to change from the base plate to that Fanatec mounting we have right there, or changing the chair, or just rebuilding the entire thing to give it a whole new feel, you can do, but you can still just get it and use it as is. It's still a fantastic rig. No wobble, no creaks, nothing. The V12 might as well be made of concrete. It is not going anywhere. So, if you're in the market for a rig you'll basically never ever have to replace, then this thing is probably your guy. If you're also in the market for a triple monitor stand either for this rig or the beauty of this for anything you might need, this thing might also be your guy. Safe to say, yeah, we've had a fantastic time with this rig, and thank you so much to SimPlexity for sending this thing over and making it pink for us. Seriously, you guys, that is so cool of you, so thank you. But what do you think? Are you now in dire need of this setup, or has your pocket money run away screaming? Let me know in the comments section below. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and share it with your friends if they need to see this rig in action. And subscribe to the Traxion channel if you want to see more hardware reviews in the future. I have loved doing them, and I hope you've loved watching them. Ring the bell for notifications as well. Thank you once again to SimPlexity for sending this thing over and sending it over in pink. That's super cool, and thank you for watching this video. Until I see you again, have a fantastic week. Keep it pinned. I'll see you next time.